Welcome to the Legal Interview Project. The Legal Interview Project's goal is to create a repository of video materials for teens interested in going into law so they can better understand the field and the aspects with it. Today I'm joined by Drake Okeke, a rising 2L at Thurgood Marshall School of Law, who's also interning for a federal judge this summer. How's it going, Drake?
It's going good. I'm excited to be here. Bestow some wisdom and my experiences onto whoever's watching this.
Yeah, of course. So right now you're interning for a federal judge, right? What does your
Oh, yes.
day-to-day job look like?
So upon my day, yeah, I wake up 6 a.m. Yeah, I wake up early. So judges start early in the day, 8:30 in the morning. I get to the U.S. courthouse by 8:30 in the morning, and I
Mhm.
check in with a law clerk. A law clerk is essentially the judge's ghostwriter. They write their opinions, their dissents, things of that sort. They help keep them organized. They're personal attorneys, and every attorney has two law clerks. There are supervisors. They assign us assignments, things that they want us to get done, get out the way, and they help us sharpen our writing skills. Essentially, to be a law clerk is what I'm aspiring to be postgraduate. You need superior writing skills. You need great grades. So they're helping me build my portfolio of writing samples. So right now I have a motion to dismiss, a motion to not a memorandum, a motion to dismiss, and a motion to suppress under my belt so far. And that's
Mhm.
important. So when I'm applying to jobs as an attorney after I graduate law school, they can see my writing samples and see like they can measure my writing skills and see how that applies to their firm and what they need from a potential employee.
Wow. What types of legal writing do you employ? Like, what's your, I guess, go-to structure for when you have to write a memorandum or have to write some legal document?
So when writing a legal document or a memorandum, I use a crack method. The crack method, I'm not sure. When I was in high school, I took AP English. We used CDW, claim data warrant. I'm not sure if that's how they teach it now. I graduated back in 2018, but yeah, we use crack, and crack stands for conclusion, rule, application slash analysis, and then your overall conclusion. There
Mhm.
are different variations to crack this IRAC, where you just do the issue, rule, application, and conclusion. And then some have a rule proof, but that's how I typically write. They drill that into orientation, and it's a constant everyday thing. From how you brief a case to how you write an essay in law school, you follow that same pattern. And current attorneys do the same thing who have been in the
Yeah.
field for 40 plus years.
Are you reading a lot for your job?
I am reading a lot. So for the memorandum I am writing, I have to read a 250-page book. So knock that out the way.
Wow.
Page numbers aren't as intimidating when you start law school. So, like for example, like a week in law school, I could say how much I read. So probably I average around, I'd say 150 to 200 pages a week in law school, and that's spread across 5 classes. So you're taking for what's common for like a first year is you take civil procedure. That's just the rules of the court. That's like the rules of a card game. You can get eliminated of a card game by not knowing a certain rule. And you have property law, which deals with property that people own. You have torts, that's personal injury. Basically, if when you think of torts, I say think of whose fault is it. That's all. It's just shifting fault to
Yeah.
whoever. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have criminal law, which is very interesting. It's kind of historical in a way that you see how the law has changed over since America has started to where we are now. And I think the last course would be contracts. So very straight to the point. Contracts is interesting because one word can change the entire course of a contract and can leave an organization, a company, or anything like that open to litigation and possibly being sued.
What's been your favorite class so far out of all the law classes you've taken?
I'd say for me, I would say none of them. No, I would say it would have to be. I think it would be property. Property was challenging for me because property
Yeah.
is convoluted. Uh, there's a lot. There's a lot in property, honestly. And with that, I think learning property was amazing because you apply to everyday life. So I could be driving, I could look at a building, and I could just see, oh, that building's not following zoning ordinance, or that's a public nuisance, and someone could sue that said company for X, Y, and Z. I think it's really important because gentrification is a major problem here in America, and a
Mhm.
lot of people lose property through average possession. Uh, Wills and trusts aren't being enforced or not being followed. Lots of property loss happens here in Houston also. So I think being able to learn that in a classroom and then apply it to my everyday life and just it's they always say this like after your first year of law school, you see the law everywhere. So how I interpret things, my thought process is completely different now, being a law student.
Do you find that all this legal reading sort of establishes a way? So, like, if you have a 200-page legal document, do you think that you gain skills on like how to decipher the important things on how to like find out what
100%.
actually?
100%. Law school makes you read faster. You have to read faster. If you're reading about 200 pages a week, you will be reading faster. With that, law school teaches you what to read and what to look for. You don't have to read every word. So it's interesting. So you start your first year of law school, you're under the impression that, oh, I have to read every single word in this book. You really don't. You should, but you really don't at the same time. Law school, I've knocked out a year now, and I know I can read. Someone could pass me a 50-page contract. I know exactly where to look for, like what section of the contract to look for, to get an idea of the contract, and what's important, what's not important, what's the issue, things of that sort. So I'd say that. And I think my path to law school was really interesting because it was funny. My mom and dad always said to me when I was a kid that they have an issue at work or be something going on, whatever it was. I'd always tell them, just sue them. Why can't we just sue them? Take them to court. Take them to court. And look at me now. I'll say like 18 years later, I'm here in law school now. And I think it's interesting because when I was in high school, I wanted to be a doctor. So me and my older brother, we had a pact. He's 2 years older than me, by the way. We had a pact to where we would both be doctors. He's
Yeah.
currently a first year resident at the University of Chicago's hospital, and I'm currently a law student. So I'll tell you
Wow.
a little bit how I got to where I am now as a law student. So I was very active in high school. I was part of the Medical Professions Association, National Honor Society, top 10%, did all those things. And I got to college. It was my freshman year. I was a public health major with a pre-med concentration, and I was in chemistry. And I quickly realized that this wasn't going to work out. uh, Chemistry just wasn't interesting to me anymore. The sciences wasn't appealing to me anymore.
Where
I was
did
a
you go
part of
to undergrad? Just
University of Houston.
okay, UH. Yeah.
Yeah, so I attended University of Houston, and yeah, I was a part of the Black Health Professions organization there on campus, and they would throw us so many opportunities, like every meeting, day after day. Houston's home to the Texas Medical Center, which is houses the largest medical center in the entire world. I just wasn't interested anymore, and I had to quickly pivot and realize that if I wasn't to practice medicine, what would I do? And I always tell myself I would do law. I love history. I like to read. And I thought, okay, what major would that align with? I like politics, so I chose political science. And it was pretty cool to see my GPA boost and completely do a 180. And I just went off from there. I would reach out to upperclassmen at my school who were also on a pre-law track like me, some what they were doing every summer. I would use LinkedIn a lot. I always tell people start on LinkedIn early. LinkedIn can you want to build your LinkedIn profile, look presentable, things of that sort. And it also allows you to connect with other people who are older than you. And you can see their work experience from college all the way to where they are now and see what they did every summer. It's important to have you should want to have something on your resume every summer, either be an internship, a summer program, like the law school pre-law, pre-law undergraduate scholars program, LSAC Plus is what they call them. They give you $1,000 stipend and they house you at a school for the summer. And you basically mock a semester as the first year law student. You get connected with admissions at different schools. You get to talk to current law students there. And I had that experience, and it was amazing. I did it with UT Austin, and it definitely solidified my passion for law. That I knew that I wanted to study for the LSAT, take it, apply to law school, and get the ball rolling. Every
Yeah.
summer,
So it wasn't like you get
Mhm.
into undergraduate and like you're going to like you're on track to be a doctor and then like just pivot. It was like a gradual transition. Like you found out you started doing all these summer programs and these internships, and then you found out that maybe this is the path for me, right?
No, it was more so I came in pre med, and then after a semester of college, I quickly realized I did not want to be pre med anymore. And then my winter break, I stayed home. I was back at my parents' house, and I was just daydreaming all day. I was like, okay, what am I going to do if I don't want to become a doctor anymore? What else do I want to do? If I'm not interested in like the sciences and the healthcare field,
Mhm.
what else would I do? And I had to just think, and I was like, okay, I think law would be a great fit for me. It's one of those things where you just throw yourself in there and you pray for me, it was I threw myself in there, I prayed for the best. I would network with upperclassmen and law students at the time and get their experience of why they want to experience law. I would watch YouTube videos about current lawyers and see how they like practicing law. I would watch videos of law students vlogging their days, and I saw myself in their shoes, which I think is really important. You should be able to see yourself there.
You do this program through UT, that's like a law internship, or what's the program like? What do you do?
So it was the Law School Admissions Council, LSAC. That's where you take your LSAT. You'll take it through LSAC. And they have different schools every year. I think my year was just UT was offering it, but it's about like 15 schools every summer that offer the program. I had friends who were in California, people who are in Austin, New York. It just depends on where you want to go and what school you want to apply to for the program.
Yeah. So what made you want to go to Thurgood Marshall when you're applying to like you do this LSAC program, you're like, I want to do the LSAT, and then like you do it after you get your scores. What do you want Thurgood Marshall?
So I graduated college. I knew I wanted to go to law school, but I was burnt out. I just finished the pandemic had just ended, and I was part of the cohort of students that were online who did school online through Zoom. So I applied to internships and programs during a gap year, and I went to DC for about 2 years. Worked on Capitol Hill, and it helped me understand. I knew I wanted to practice law, but I didn't know any lawyers, so it helped me figure out how I could practice law in different avenues I could take.
What were you doing on the Hill?
So back in DC, I loved DC so much. It was a transformative time for me. I always tell people there's nothing wrong with taking a gap year. Not everybody's going to be KJD. A KJD is someone who goes from straight from college into law school. Like, you've been in school all your life. I thought that was going to be me, but it wasn't. But I always tell people if you know what you want to do or you need a break, take a gap year or two. Go explore life. Learn more about yourself. So when I graduated in 2022 from
Mhm.
University of Houston, I was admitted into the Congressional Black Caucus Internship Foundation. And through that, I worked on Capitol Hill. I worked for Congressman Mark VC, and he's a Dallas representative. And I was his intern. I sharpened my writing skills in his office. I wrote dozens of letters. I got to attend briefings. I networked my tail off. Networking is really important in the legal field, and it's important anywhere you go. You need to know people because sometimes you have the grace, but you don't know enough people. And jobs, it's about who you know, not what you know. Sometimes in the legal field, it's
Yeah.
anywhere honestly. But working on Capitol is interesting because you're every day you're at work with about 20,000 people, I'd say, and everyone's working for different members or different committees, and we're all trying to pass legislation to help improve America. And I
Yeah.
think it was an amazing time for me because I definitely sharpened my soft skills, my networking skills. I learned a lot about myself out there, moving from the South to the East Coast. And then from there, I was hired by my office and I became a staff assistant legislative correspondent. So I was controlling all correspondence leaving his office, and I was also an intern coordinator. So
Mhm.
I ushered in the next wave of Capitol Hill interns every 3 to 4 months. It was really cool, and just seeing them grow and still being in contact with them to this day, and hearing about their new promotions or I'm going to law school now, things of that sort. It's really cool. From there, I transitioned to the United States Department of Education, and I worked in the Office of the General Counsel. And I assisted lawyers all day, and it was really cool to meet lawyers and hear about their path and help me figure out what I wanted to do. And I assisted lawyers with student debt relief. I think those jobs, those experiences landed me where I am today as of right now. While I was in DC during my gap years, I studied for the LSAT, got my score back, applied to certain schools, and I got waitlisted. I got scholarships. I got rejections from all different schools. And I chose Thurgood Marshall because I had to think about affordability, scholarship package, and where I want to practice law. So at the time, I was stuck between Thurgood Marshall and the University of Maryland. But for me, I'm I think risk averse is the right word. I hate student debt. I absolutely hate debt. So
Yeah.
I took the more affordable school and it was Thurgood Marshall. So that's where I'm at now and how I ended up here.
Do you see yourself going back to DC or no?
Oh, definitely. I'd love to work on Capitol Hill and be counsel for a committee for so like the House Committee on Energy and Commerce. They have lawyers they have lawyers in a committee who review documents, produce legislation, make sure it's legally sound, things like that. So I like policy. That's really interesting to me. Or I'm really interested in big law, and that would be me working for major corporations and learning a lot about corporate defense, things of that sort. In the legal field, there's two types of practice. There's litigation and it's transactional. Litigation is you in a courtroom, basically. You could be in a courtroom with the judge, or you could be behind the lines, just going through paperwork, filing motions, arguing motions, things of that sort. Or transactional is just shaking hands and helping solidify deals. So you probably heard this practice law called mergers and acquisitions.
Mhm.
It's really big in corporate law. That's transactional. So for me, I'm interested in prosecution. I think these next 2 years of law school will help reveal that for me. And I always tell people if you're interested in prosecution, look at moot court, look at board of advocates, things of that sort. It's like trial simulation and like there's a fake
Yeah.
judge and things of that sort. And it just helps you get an idea. Do you want to practice this type of law once you graduate?
Do you do a lot of moot court competitions? Like,
No, so I haven't done any moot court
yeah.
competitions so far. Uh, so during my first year, I was in law school, you're divided sections. So I was a section one representative for my section in my class, and I just advocated for my section and like spoke with administration and other parts of student government, make sure my section needs what they have. With that, I'm also the director of community service for the African Law Student Association here at the Marshall School of Law. But during my 2 year, I am interested in moot court, mock trial, things of that sort, just to get that experience under my belt. And it looks really good to employers when they see that on your resume, along with law review. You have law review on your resume, or you publish the journal, you publish onto a journal. It shows that you have superior writing skills, and law firms are attracted to that. Law review is prestigious because it's students writing articles, publishing articles on behalf of their school. So in a way, you're the face of your school.
Is there one or is it like a circuit of different law
So
reviews?
there's law review, and then there's separate journals that you could be a part of. So you can publish onto a journal and not be a part of law review, or you can be a part of law review and also publish onto a journal. It's kind of what you want to do.
Yeah, I get that. Do some people not publish at all? Just like go through
Yeah,
law?
some people choose not to publish throughout law school. It really depends on what you like and what you want to do. So I have friends who only participate in mock trial moot court, and they could care less about law review or publishing, and vice versa, who could care less about moot court or mock trial, but are really interested in law review and journal. It's also you have to be very strategic in how you want to present yourself to employers.
Yeah.
Also,
So I get that. I guess going back a little bit, how was the LSATs for you? What was like the experience of
don't take me
studying
back.
for it?
So the LSAT was the LSAT was interesting. Definitely, it's a different language. It's a test like no other. You never seen the things that they ask you. Like you don't learn that in school. and you have to learn the test. So I always tell people when you're taking the LSAT, take as many practice tests as possible. Study. Make sure you live a balanced lifestyle. Like you studying all day, cutting off friends, not going out, not going to the gym, not eating healthy, not like, nourishing your needs. It can be to your detriment. Can make you do worse. So it's important to live a balanced lifestyle, but it's important to learn the exam. The best performers take 1,000 practice tests and they learned exam. It's a pattern. So the more exams you take, you start to see a pattern about how they ask you questions, things of that sort. I think it's very helpful to use supplements. So I use LSAT Demon. I think it's
Yeah.
very great. The creators of LSAT Demon are amazing. Some people use Seven Sage. Some people use Kaplan Power Score. I don't recommend Princeton Review, FYI, but it's important to find out what works best for you and how long you need to study. So some people might study for the LSAT for 3 months and some might take 6. You should figure out what works best for you. And if you don't feel prepared, it's okay to push your test back, but don't keep pushing your test back because you're gonna
Yeah.
psych yourself out and do worse.
Would you recommend taking the test? Like, let's say you get, I don't know, in June you get a score. Would you recommend retaking it before applying? So, like, let's say, someone were to get like an okay score, but not so good. I don't know what that would be. I think it depends on the school, but like, and then would you recommend taking it again?
So it depends on your goals. So if you want to reach a T14, and most T14s require like a 165 or higher, and maybe you got a 165 or you got a 160, you got a 150. It depends on what I'm trying to get at is it depends on what school you want to go to and how highly ranked that school is. So if you know you can get to your desired school with a 155 and you're okay with your score, that's okay. I always tell people to you miss 100%, you miss 100% of shots that you don't take. So you should have a reach
Mhm.
area. Like these are schools I'm reaching out to. Like it's a reach of my stats and everything. And you have a safety net, and then you have like I know I'm getting here 100%. You should have all three, in my opinion. But if you feel like you could do better and you have time to take the test again, feel free to take the test again. Challenge yourself. Schools want to see that you tried again. But like I said, it really depends on what type of school you want to go to. So if you want to go to Harvard or Georgetown, and those schools like that take 166. No, sorry. Georgetown takes a 165 or higher most of the time, and you got a 163.
Mhm.
You can roll the dice and take a chance. But if you have time to take an exam again, if you want to, take it again. If you don't want to, be okay with your results and shoot for the stars. It really depends on where you are, honestly.
Yeah. When you were like after you got your LSAT score, what was your college application like? What was your process like to apply to different schools?
Oh, so when I got my LSAT score, I'll be honest, I wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
But I always tell people apply early. So for me, I applied in January. And had I applied, I'd say a couple months earlier, I'd be on less, I'd be on fewer wait lists and I'd probably receive less rejections and more money.
Mhm.
And a lot of times people push back applying because they're nervous and they're scared. You just gotta rip the band-aid off and do it.
What is, I guess, for people who don't know, what's the deadline for like early bird versus like the non-early one
So
generally?
things are changing in the legal field. A lot of people are applying now, and
Yeah.
like what's considered early might not be early anymore. But for the most part, I always tell people if you want to, the most priority applications are due by or before Thanksgiving. And I always tell people get your application in before the year ends. I know some of us are working full time or we're in school while we're applying. We're working 40 plus hours a week. It depends. Every applicant to law school is different. It's a professional school, so you have a range of people from all walks of life. But I always say apply before the year ends. If you can, get your application in by or before Thanksgiving. Most schools' deadlines, like their final deadlines, is March. But if you are to apply to March, most schools have already sent by March, and most schools have filled in their entire uh,
Yeah,
class
they're the
already.
class. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's important to note that a majority of law schools have accepted half of their class by Thanksgiving. So it's something
Yeah.
important to know because the application cycle opens in September. So I always tell people the summer before the application cycle opens, you should be working on your personal statement, reaching out to recommenders, things of that sort, because your personal statement takes longer than ever. Not longer than ever. Your personal statement will take longer than you expect. That's your interview. In medical school, people have interviews and stuff like that. In law school, I'd say like 85% of law schools don't have interviews. I know University of Maryland and Harvard, Yale, Georgetown have interviews, but most
Yeah.
law schools, your application, your personal statement is your interview. So you need to put your best foot forward. So give yourself more time to work on your personal statement.
That the law is changing. I think that the law really is changing. How do you think AI is affecting law? Like in terms of both writing and arguments, how do you think AI is going to change law?
I think AI is going to make the legal field more competitive. And I think me seeing how it
Yeah.
is now, so like the data, like the when you're in law school, they'll give you access to LexisNexis or Westlaw Precision, and those databases are just like database for cases and everything, the case briefs, things of that sort. I think there's pros and cons to AI. You shouldn't cheat yourself using AI and let it write your papers for you because everything always catches up to you. You can't use AI on the bar, nor can you use AI in your final exam. These databases now, like LexisNexis and Westlaw, they're using AI to their advantage, where you can ask AI to brief a case for you or help you find cases within this circuit, court circuit, before a certain year. That's what I'm doing right now. And it's very helpful. It saves you so much time and effort. So I think, like I said before, it's going to make it more competitive because AI is increasing productivity, so more will be asked of you. And like I said, times are changing, and I think we'll all adjust to it.
Yeah, I just had an interview a few days ago with a justice of one of the local appellate courts here, and she said that
Mm-hmm.
you would be surprised at how many AI generated, either fully or partially, briefs she gets. And like, I
Yes.
don't know, that's crazy to me. Like, I could never imagine using AI to submit to like a real court. So,
No, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't at all.
exactly.
You absolutely shouldn't. It's not a good look. I remember, I think it was about 2 years ago, an attorney got debarred, was debarred
Yeah.
for submitting a brief that was solely produced by AI. And AI is not perfect. It's still being developed. The AI was creating fake cases. There were typos, things of that sort. And that's malpractice. That's attorney malpractice. That's legal malpractice. It's not a good look. And you can lose your license because of that.
Yeah, it's like
So
letting like a toddler write your legal brief. It's like,
exactly.
doing.
So like I don't think there's an issue with using AI when writing. It's a good tool to use to help you write better, but you shouldn't solely depend on it. That's scary. That's not
Yeah, so
good.
like for the research and like for getting the ideas, like getting the material for the ideas, you would recommend using AI. And then when you actually get to connecting those and writing, you would say that you should write, right?
Uh to a certain extent, it depends on your jurisdiction, who you're working for, things of that sort. I
Mhm.
think it's important to not use AI when using private information because we don't know where this is going to. We don't know because the more we use AI, the smarter it gets. We're just feeding AI all day, and it's getting better at its job, making predictions, things of that sort. So when it comes to private information or sensitive information, things covered under attorney-client privilege, you should not use AI because you don't know who they're selling your information to and where it's going. Regulation around AI is up in the air right now. I don't think we'll see sound regulation for another 5 years, personally.
Okay. Do you think it's a question of law, or do you think that it's a question of like, is it a question of legal review for the judiciary, or is it really just a question of what laws we pass on AI? What do you think?
It's a question of both.
Yeah.
It's a question of the judiciary, and it's a question of what laws we pass, like through Congress.
I'm just waiting for a judge to write a legal opinion using AI. Like it's happened in different countries. It hasn't happened in the US as far as I'm aware, but I think as AI gets more and more advanced, we're probably going to
Mm-hmm.
have some cases like that. And then we might get a Supreme Court decision on like whether an AI opinion is allowed to pass or not, right?
At that point, robots will be running the world. Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly hope not. I hope not. I want to be a lawyer. I don't want a robot taking my job. But no,
I think that what you're saying is very
law.
true. Like
Mhm.
the just a lot of the menial things, like working on doing citations, like you just get the AI to do the citation for you, so you can focus on like actually writing your brief or writing whatever you're doing, right? So
So the thing about that is, AI is not perfect. AI still
yeah,
gets citations wrong. Like you, like I to this day, I still crack open my blue book. You'll see what a blue book is in a couple of years. But I still crack open my blue book and I look for the proper citation because I'd say about 50% of the time AI is wrong. And so like LexisNexis, Westlaw, they have citation generators, and a citation generator has been around for decades already. So
okay, yeah.
AI is interesting, but like nothing beats actual knowledge. So
Is Blue Book kind of like MLA or APA? Is it like the legal format?
it's similar. It's its own thing. It's Blue Book format, but it's basically like that kind of.
Yeah.
It's like it's legal citations, which is very different from MLA and APA.
Do you see yourself running for some DC position in the future? Do you see yourself being
Oh, just
elected?
a political position.
Yeah.
I've been asked this multiple times before, and who knows? Honestly, it's in the back of my head if I'm being honest. But I'm faithful. I'm very religious. I'm a Christian, and I always say if it's in my cards that God has for me, then so be it. But I think right now I'm really focused on trying to become the best attorney I can be.
Mhm. Do you find that your religion helps you like working in like stressful environments like DC or maybe law
100%.
school? Yeah.
100%. So for me, I always say I can't do this without God. Law school will test you to limits you have never experienced before. Law school's overwhelming. You're learning so much every day. It's interesting. You remember everything. It's crazy. Like it really feels like in law school they get a knife, cut your head open, just start throwing books in there. You're just learning the law from beginning of America to where we are now. And prayer definitely. I pray every morning and night. I'm trying to be more consistent with reading my devotionals and learning the Word of God more. But I would say that it's been helpful because, like I said, loss is overwhelming, and sometimes you need something to lean on. And loss can feel isolating, and you can be swallowed with stress. And like having something that you can look up to and believe in is very helpful. Having a support system and a belief system is very helpful.
Sort of on a closing note, what
Mhm.
advice would you give to someone who's stuck? Maybe they have different fields that they're thinking about. They don't know that they're like between a junior in high school to like a sophomore in college, and maybe they're considering graduate research. Maybe they're considering like different stuff. They don't know what they want to do, but law, like they keep coming back to law. What advice would you give them?
Listen to, it sounds cliche, but honestly, listen to your heart. Stop ignoring that voice in your head. You hear it, just listen to it. It's not you giving in, just listen to what your spirit is telling you. And if you have time, you're young, what you want right now may not be what you want in 2 years. You have a lot of time to learn. And more than anything, experience life. Life is the best, life lessons are the best teacher. Like I said, experiencing life will lead you exactly where you need to be. If that's law, then you'll get to it. And luckily, law school has no prerequisites like medical students do. So all you have to do is take the LSAT and apply.